to another episode of Project Reason. Let me say that again because the live stream is running up, broken up twice. So, as of the past episode, we have our live stream up and running, and that over is being recorded right now. Is on 4 platforms. Continue from where we were left off last year. 5 years ago. On Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Amazon. It's multi-stream. And I, in the previous episode, had discussed a little bit more about the connection between Metadusa, which is the framework of the most recent evolution of what used to be the Arrow Project, Slice of Life, Project Reason, into now Metadusa, and the combination of various ideas, themes, concepts, analogies, methodologies, personifications, and so on and so forth, and caricatures, combined into a constantly dynamic, I wouldn't say singularity, but more of an amalgamation. And so in the previous episode, we had discussed the model that you can see actually still over here on this end, finally being deployed. And it's taken more than 7 years to get to this point because of a variety of obstacles and challenges that have gotten in the way. But we're able to get to that point today, and the model was actually developed a long time ago. And so I'm very happy to see, very pleased to say that we finally made it to this particular stage. Now, going forward, of course, that was the previous episode, is the deployment of our VTuber model. I can say that we finally have our VTuber model, and we're going to be diverging into various niches, wherein each subseries and even channel network is going to be devoted to different modalities and forms of our fragments. So, in this particular episode, that's just a recap of the past episode. We're going to be covering education. It's not supposed to be focused on the VTuber model, but this is, I think, a very interesting combination between media, animation, modeling, sculpting, and digital graphics, and the combination of that with education, business, real-world applications. To put it another way, I'm a big fan of combining several different modalities and contrasting themes, because I think the best of life, the best fruits of labor and creations and innovations and inventions and productivity, masterpieces, come from the fruition of the fusion of sometimes very contrasting, opposing themes, topics, concepts, which in this case you could say that definitely a VTuber virtual modeling of personification and character. With, I suppose you could say, digital media over onto education in industry and business, like even corporate strategy, is almost like the amalgamation of science and arts, of engineering and architecture, of, political opposite extremes, of religious opposite extremes. It's the combination of two, what would seem traditionally to be binary modalities of two opposite spectrums, of two opposite ends of the spectrum. On one end, you have something that's grounded in tangible, concrete reality. That is business, that is the industry, as a whole, whether it comes to retail or supermarkets or finance or economics in the real world. And then we have something, the combination of what is tangible and real with complex imaginary numbers in the binary and digital world, right? And so I think it's going to be a very interesting contrast if I were ever able to, let's say, for example, if I were to combine business class information on supply chains, operations, financing, inventory management, and then have that be divulged in a format where we actually have a 3D model in front of the screen. I think that'd be very strange, but it'd be the type of thing that I would be very interested in. That would be, I don't know, a productive, right? It'd be the combination of, again, the opposite modalities. Let's think of the purpose in which you might divulge in any particular media. It can be for entertainment, can be for information, and this is the conjoining of both. Something for fun that is visually appealing, or just kind of just interesting, being combined with something that is actually informative and oddly educational. And I haven't really begun on this, but I think that's a good way to start, and we're going to see how it ends up blossoming over the course of the coming months. That's just one of several sub-series and channels and manifestations and projects. It's one thread amongst an entire yarn in which we've yet to unravel. And so I just want to divulge that I am taking a program that you can see over here on the top. Once again, unfortunately, because of cybersecurity protocol policies, my operating system cannot show you, for example, Paint, Microsoft Paint, MS Paint won't be able to show you the imagery, but I've taken a screenshot of a PDF, Adobe PDF document file of the cohort schedule. You can see right here, actually you can see it on the stream better. So if you go to Twitch or so on, you can find my stream, and then over there on our stream, you can see that there is a display. I should mention, we didn't even discuss the elements of the background in the previous episode, but there's the cohort schedule PDF taken just very briefly because I can't include much information on it for copyright reasons. It's just an information document that details our schedule, the coursework, the course load, the projects from presentations and examination schedules as well, and the curriculum. And I don't want to even divulge that. So, long story short, I've taken a little screenshot snippet in which you can see right here. And you can just see there's just a little bit of a graphic, right? There's a little bit of branding, and that's about it. So, I think that kind of wraps up what I want to say here. Basically, it's going to be a master's. We are taking, well, somewhere between a master's and a PhD, because the kind of delivery content that we'll be covering in this program it spans from all aspects of the business domain at an executive level. Okay, and I'm very interested to see how I can actually apply this in a real world setting in ways that I've already been doing, but with more standardized official terminology and more defined borders and boundaries and tactics, with better oversight that is in line with the industry level of communication and understanding. So that's what we've been starting as of maybe a couple months ago, and this program will run for at least another, I won't say for how long, but let's just say about roughly, give or take, 2 years or so. And that's been taking up a substantial proportion of my time in a way that has also impeded our progress to push out the next phase and stage of our project. aside from housing and maintenance and work, we still work in our family and commitments to our loved ones. So it's taken a while to get to the point where in the past episode we actually rolled out, and I didn't even discuss, I forgot to mention, we didn't talk about the assets and the media files that are being shown in the new developments that are on stream. It's really something else. I'm really impressed with the way that the direction of Prison Life Studio and the fact that we can actually use a model now as well, which we did discuss. And then now also discussing the fact that we have our own second degree, because we graduated more than a decade and a half ago, roughly 15 years, a decade, maybe 10 years ago. And now we're back into education, we're learning again, we're taking another degree. And so there's a lot going on. And if I ever, for example, over the past, this is the perfect time for me to address it, but for the past 3 weeks or 4 weeks, almost maybe just shy of a month, I usually have a weekly upload. I didn't do that for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and there were no posts. Of course, there's no one really watching at this particular moment in time, which is good. I want to keep the engagement level low. But, I would normally just apologize for not pushing anything out, for not keeping updates on my community tab. But, of course, there's nobody there, and so it's not particularly important in so much as it is for the development of this project as a whole currently. But going forward, this is the reason why we've been held back. Is because first of all, we have workplace and careers, and then we have familial obligations or relationships. We have our acquaintances, our friendships to manage. We have significant obstacles in maintenance and housing, pest control, and so on and so forth. And then we have the project right there. The next development, the next phase, the next demonstration and expression of the extrapolated self in terms of a virtual model in a virtual environment, and the amalgamation of the digital with the reality. And then there's also education, like academia now, which we had stopped going soon for a decade, but now we're now taking a second degree, and that's going to take a lot of our time and energy and resources. And so just want to be transparent and openly communicate that, so that in the event that this is ever watched in the future, this is what is taking a bunch of our time. And this will be inserted once again as another tidbit into the time capsule of the project that is Project Fusion. Okay, and I should mention that our first of several 10 modules on more than 10 modules on our degree, which culminates in the Capstone project, which excites me because that's like very much reminiscent of when I take my first degree at a cooperative institution, where many of the engineers at the time had to develop their own Capstone project, and they would engage in developing biomedical, nanoscience, civil engineering, and geological engineering. And they would develop all sorts of new business prospects and ventures at the time. And I always wanted to participate in some way, but I just was in a very bad position because we were already burdened with other obligations related to our blood. So our hands were tied down for blood, and blood and family not the same. But you could say I also had obligations to a certain family. And I was not able to pursue that at the time, which I'm able to pursue now. So it's going to be exciting and very challenging, because the Capstone project, of course, is a culmination of your entire degree. And this is, of course, a semi-master's PhD level, so it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of intense, challenging work. And we're going to be juggling this with everything else in life. So now there's academia and education, in addition to business and side projects, in addition to family and blood, and then in addition to acquaintances and friendships, in addition to work and careers and jobs, in addition to the project. And then there's still health, personal health and medicine and financing. And then there's also purpose and generally speaking, keeping ourselves intact. And so there's a lot going on, and it's going to be an interesting ride, an interesting journey. So stay tuned, and we'll continue on with this particular phase in our lives. Okay, but that's the new development, is that I'm taking a second degree. And that is, at least in part, one of the reasons why I wasn't able to get out the past 3 weeks the episodes that I would have liked to push out. Okay, so for that, apologies. And of course, there are other things that are not mentioned in addition to education and work and careers and family and so on, and health. And there's also negative, destructive aspects which were talked about briefly here and there. But anyways, regarding all that, that's why it didn't show up. I apologize, and we're going to go forward over into the next episode, and who knows where we're going to lead off with that one. But I'm excited to say that we have our live stream up, and that we've also discussed that we're having our second degree, our education in the stream, and most likely at least one of our sub-series will involve the discussion and rehearse and practice of educational concepts, in this case business. Previously my degree was in medicine, and so most likely we're going to do lecture style oriented casework as well. And that prospect is very interesting to me. I always wanted to talk more about biochemistry and organic chemistry, as well as supply chain operations and strategic leadership on our project, which we never had the opportunity to do. But going forward, I think that's going to be coming up very soon. So with that being said, this is Risha from Medusa 2. Again, manifestation of 4 meditations, mythology, Medusa, and Marcus Aurelius. And we will see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, take care. Feel free to engage and leave any of your own particular perspectives. And I'll see you in the comment section. And I'll see you all in the next episode.